Excellent, thank you so much. Okay, I really want this to be a lovely 55 minutes for you. Okay, 45 minutes, depending whatever it goes. Okay, make sure you got some personal space right now, so you can sit comfortably without bothering someone sitting beside you. If you need to move, move quickly. You all set? Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to welcome you once again to the SMUS Middle School's Recitation Extravaganza. Behind me, seated just over here, confident in their own skills and ability, we have a plethora of talented presenters, 15 to be exact. You, the audience, have the easiest job of all. I would ask you to do three things. Be kind, be quiet, and be generous. And what I mean by being generous is to really show honest appreciation for your friend's guts and bravado, because that's what it takes to come up here. As the audience, you're passive, you observe, and you get to judge. But for these other guys, they have to show confidence, they have to take risks, and there's a persistence involved. So when they stand before you, give them the kudos that they really do deserve by being kind to them. Finally, being an aficionado of fine recitation myself, driven by my own deep pursuit of personal excellence, my lifelong love of learning, and the discovery to want to find that discovery within myself, I hope you will permit me to recite all 98 verses of the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. So, without further ado, our first speaker is going to be Jamie Brunzel. Jamie's going to do your spelling bee.
The day it all went wrong was the day of the spelling bee. It was up until that day that I was an idiot, but nobody else knew. You know. Then the spelling bee day popped up. All right, kids, up against the wall. It's time for public humiliation. Spell the word wrong and sit down in front of all your friends. That'd be great for little egos. Hey, look at me. I'm a moron. I wasn't even close. I was using numbers and stuff. That's why I admire the kid who spells the word wrong just so he can sit down, you know? First round, cat. K-A-T. I'm out of here. And as he walks past you, I know there are two T's. I remember my teacher asked me, Brian, what's the I before E rule? I before E. Always. No, Brian. What are you, idiot? Apparently. I before E, except after C. And when sounding like A as a neighbor or end way. And on weekends and holidays and all throughout May. And you'll always be wrong, no matter what you say. That's a hard rule. That's a rough rule. Plurals were hard too. Brian, how do you make the word plural? You put an S. You put an S at the end of it. When? On weekends and holidays. No, Brian, let me show you. So she asked that kid who knew everything, Erwin. Erwin, what's the plural for ox? Oxen. The farmer used his oxen. Brian, what? What's the plural for box? Boxen. I bought 2 boxes of donuts. No, Brian, no. Let's try another one. Erwin, what's the plural for moose? Moosin. What's the plural for goose? Geese. I saw a flock of geese. Brian, what? What's the plural for moose? Moosin. I saw a flock of moosin. There are many of them, many much moosin, in the woods, in the woodies, in the woodinson. The meese want the food is to eat and sin. The meese want the food, and the woodinson, and the woodinson. Brian, you're an imbecile.
She's going to talk about something that you all look forward to, presents.
You're not awake. It's 6 o'clock. You hear a ring. You hear the door come crashing down. The birthday breakfast as fun and ready. Oh, look, he shouted, "Sit so wet, your present over me and wait." They brought the presents they left best. You get the wrap, they keep the rest. And now they say it's hide and seek. So you go home and you find a hiding place that's great. You realize 20 minutes later, they're raiding the refrigerator. It's time for cake, the monsters shout. So hurry, blow the candles out. You close your eyes and make a wish. And blow the plant. An empty dish. And now goodbye, it's been a thrill. And up they go. They took your gifts, they ate your cake, they made the mess that monsters make. There is nothing more that could go wrong. And then, ding dong. One last surprise is here for you. The birthday monster cleaning crew. They fix, they sweep, they scrub the floors. The house is clean, they're at the door. And on the kitchen shelf you find the birthday cake.
Many of you will remember the classic story of Rapunzel and her very long hair. Mark's going to do a little twist on the same story. Mark?
A man named Rapunzel was feeling quite sour because he'd locked himself in the top room of his tower with no electricity and no form of power, not so much as a mirror, a sink, or a shower, and he was there for much longer than minutes and hours. Poor old Rapunzel, he lived all alone, far away from anyone. He did not have a phone, and after a day, he started to moan to a bird who had perched on his windowsill of stone. The bird watched his beard grow while he grumbled and groaned. For many long years, he felt hunger and pain. The bird brought him worms, and when it rained, he drank rain. His waistband receded, and he went quite insane, while his beard kept on growing to the length of a train. But a plan to save Ray had formed inside the bird's brain. The bird disappeared for almost a week, which made Ray more sad, more hopeless, and bleak. But to his surprise, when he was feeling most weak, a noise came to his ears. He heard someone speak, and Ray was so happy a tear ran down his cheek. Outside in the distance, a man had appeared. With the bird on his shoulder, Ray's window he neared. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your long beard. A little bird tells me you've been stuck there for years." If Ray hadn't forgotten how, he would have cheered. Ray gathered his beard, which now filled his lair. He threw it out of the window, and it fell through the air. It hit the ground with a thud and made the mystery man stare, who then climbed up Ray's whiskers instead of using the stairs. He was shocked when he saw Ray's room was so bare. The bird he had found, a locksmith by trade, who then opened Ray's door, which was sturdily made, and Ray ran down the stairs and into the glade. And as he jumped up for joy, his good mood did fade, because a key fell right out of his pocket.
One of Canada's greatest exports is the comedian Jim Carrey, and Matthew's going to do a little something from Jim Carrey.
I used to get really upset when I told people where I came from down in Los Angeles, because I always had the same response. Canada. Wow. Must be cold. Now you go down there. Yes. Canada. It was a frozen hostile wasteland. And there was much work to be done if we were to survive the elements. After boring a hole through the ice to find food, my good friend Man, Chuck, and I would build an igloo to protect ourselves from polar bears and flying walking fox. Then we would drink it out of the earth. And when magic was ready, he would tell me the story of the great moose, who said to the little squirrel, "Hey, Rocky, Rocky, put a rabbit on my hat." Anyway.
nothing more delightfully Canadian than Tim Hortons donut. So Al's going to tell you a story about a donut.
So basically, I'm going to act as a character. My name's Lulu. Yes, it's the original name. And I'm trying to study in a library, but as you can see, I can't really study. I'm dreaming of a donut. Like literally daydreaming of tasting one. Biting into one. I'm not sure which one I choose. Maybe the ones with the chocolate icing and the creamy filling? What are those called? Cream puffs? No, not that. But they're so good. So rich. I love the kind of explosion as my teeth hit the pastry. And the cream just spills out into your mouth. You know, maybe I'd go for a glazed donut. They're simple, but we all know they're the best, right? Glaze, the icing. Glaze just melts on the tip of your tongue. From sugar to liquid. You know, I really should be studying right now. But when you're hungry, it's all you can think about. See, prom's in a few weeks, and if I want to fit into that blue dress, I'm gonna have to lose a few pounds. So my mom and I both agreed that lunch would be the easiest meal to skip. But it's not easy. I mean, I guess this is how those kids in Africa feel. I can't even read a sentence right now, and I've got a test next week. Maybe I'd go for something salty, like tortillas, chips, and salsa, or Pringles. Man, those poor kids in Africa.
Poetry like Calvin and Hobbes. Here's Taylor.
My hands were all shaky. My face had gone pale. A letter from Santa just arrived in the mail. It was handwritten, an old-fashioned ink pen. It was handsomely printed and dated 12/10. Dear Taylor, it said, I'm writing because this year I've repealed my naughty nice laws. So now I urge you, you ball-grin critters. I like it when kids are boorish and rude. Burp at the table, gargle your peas. Never say thank you, you're welcome, or please. Don't do what you're talk back to your mother. Don't do what you're told. Stick your tongue out at your dad if he scolds. Drive everyone crazy. I don't really care. Act like a jerk. Anytime, anywhere. I'm changing the rules. The bad girls and boys will be from now on the ones who get the toys. Good little kids make me sick. It's no joke. Sincerely signed, Santa. And then I awoke. I hate being good or trying to fake it. 3 weeks until Christmas? I don't think I'll make it.
Sage is going to give you an excerpt from a fabulous story. You know it as The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and this is the part where we get to meet the Headless Horseman.
As yet the panic of the steed had given his unskillful rider an apparent advantage in the chase. But just as he had got halfway through the hollow, the girth of the saddle gave way, and he felt it slipping from under him. He seized it by the pommel and endeavored to hold firm, but in vain, and had just time to save himself by clasping old gunpowder around the neck, when the saddle fell to the earth, and he heard it trampled underfoot by his pursuer. For a moment, the terror of Panton River's wrath passed across his mind, for it was his Sunday saddle. But this was no time for petty fears. The goblin was hard on his haunches, and, unskillful rider that he was, he had much ado to maintain his seat, sometimes slipping on one side, sometimes on the other, and sometimes jolted on the high ridge of his horse's backbone with a violence he barely feared would cleave him asunder. An opening in the trees now cheered him with the hopes that the church bridge was at hand. The wavering reflection of the silver star at the bosom of the brook told him that he was not mistaken. He saw the walls of the church dimly glaring out of the trees beyond. He recollected the place where Ron Bones' ghostly competitor had disappeared. If I could but reach the bridge, thought Ichabod, I am safe. Just then he heard the black steed panting and blowing close behind. He even fancied he felt his hot breath. Another convulsive kick in the ribs, and old gunpowder sprang upon the bridge. He thundered over the resounding planks. He gained the opposite side, and now Ichabod cast a look behind to see if his pursuer should vanish, according to rule, in a flash of fire and brimstone. Just then he saw the goblin rising in his stirrups, and in the very act of hurling his head at him. Ichabod endeavored to dodge the horrible missile, but too late. and encountered his cranium with a tremendous crash. He was tumbled headlong into the dust, and the goblin and gunpowder the black steed and the goblin rider passed by like a whirlwind. The next morning, the old horse was found soberly cropping the grass at his master's gate, without his saddle and with the bridle under his feet. Ichabod did not make his appearance at breakfast. Dinner hour came, but no Ichabod. The boys assembled at the schoolhouse and strolled idly about the banks of the brook, but no schoolmaster. Panton River now began to feel some uneasiness about the fate of poor Ichabod and his saddle. An inquiry was set on foot, and after diligent investigation, they came upon his traces. In one part of the road leading to the church was found the saddle, trampled in the dirt, the tracks of horses' hooves deeply dented in the road, and evidently at furious speed were traced back to the bridge, where, beyond which, on the bank of the broad part of the brook where the water ran deep and black, was found the hat of the unfortunate Ichabod, and close beside it a shattered pumpkin.
Sage is going to tell you what it's like to be queen. Oh, sorry, my fault.
Do you know what I intend? I intend to be queen. When I grow up, I'm going to be the biggest queen there ever was, and I will live in a big palace. And when I go out to my coach, people will cheer, and I will shout at them. And in the summertime, I will go to my summertime palace, and I will wear my crown in swimming and everything, and people will wave, and I will shout at them. What do you mean I can't be queen? No one should be kept from being queen if she wants to be one. Usually it's just a matter of knowing the right people. Well, if I can't be queen, then I'll be very rich, and I'll buy myself a queendom. Yes, I will buy myself a queendom, and I will kick out the old queen and take over the whole operation myself. I will be head queen.
Kelsey's going to do Jeff's first speech.
All right, everybody. I'm going to say something. Sit down. Do you know what makes humans different to other animals? We are the only species in the world that observe Shark Week. Sharks don't even observe Shark Week, but we do. For the same reason, I can pick up this pencil, tell you his name is Steve, and go like this. And part of me dies just a little bit on the inside, because people can connect with anything. People can find the good in just about anything but themselves. Look at me. It's clear to you all that I wasn't. But I can never admit that because that would make me an ass. But what I can do is see what makes Annie awesome. She's driven. We need driven people, or the lights go and the ice cream melts. And Pierce. We need guys like Pierce. This guy has wisdom to offer. If we just listened to him in time, we wouldn't regret it. And Shirley. Shirley has earned her respect. Not as a wife, not as a mother, but as a woman. And don't test her on that, because that thing about the jukebox is way too specific to be in front. And Troy. Who cares if Troy thinks he's all that? Maybe he is. Do you think astronauts go to the moon because they hate oxygen? No, they're trying to impress their high school's prom king. And Abbott. Abbott's a shaman. You ask him to pass his salt and he gives you a bowl of soup. Because guess what? Soup is better. Abbott is better. You're all better than you think you are. You just choose not to believe it when you hear for yourself. I want you to turn to the person sitting to your left. Sorry, turn to the person sitting next to you. I want you to extend to that person the same compassion you give to sharks, pencils, and Ben Affleck. I want you to say to that person, I forgive you. You just stopped from your study group. You now become something unstoppable. I hereby pronounce you a queen.
Ollie's chosen the perfect recitation for today. It's called Snow Day.
Today we woke up to a revolution of snow. Its white flags moving over everything. The landscape vanished. Not a single mouse to punctuate the blackness. And beyond these windows, the government buildings smothered, schools and libraries lost, the post office buried, the passive trains softly blocked, the world fallen under this falling. In a while, I will put on some boots and step outside like someone walking in water, and the dog will porpoise through the drifts, and I will shake a laden branch, sending a cold shower down on us both. But for now, I'm a willing prisoner in this house, a sympathizer with an anarchic cause of snow. I will make a pot of tea and listen to the plastic radio on the counter, as glad as anyone to hear the news. That the kitty corner school is closed, the ding dong school closed, the olive board children's school closed, the hi-ho nursery school closed, along with some will be delighted to hear that the toadstool school, the little sparrows nursery school, and the Tom Thumb Child Center all closed. And clap your hands, the Peanuts Play School. So this is where the children hide all day. These are the places where they letter and draw, where they put on their bright miniature jackets, all darting and climbing and sliding. All but the few girls whispering by the fence. And now I'm listening hard, in the grandiose silence of the snow, trying to hear what those Spriggles are plotting, what riot is afoot, which small queen is about to be brought down.
English is a very, very clumsy language. It's a very hard language to learn. And Julie Day is going to point that out to you.
Let's face it, English is a crazy language. There is no egg and eggplant, no ham and hamburger, and neither apple nor pine and pineapple. English muffins weren't invented in England, or French fries in France. Sweetmeats are candies, while sweet breads, which aren't sweet, are meat. We take English for granted, but if we explore its paradoxes, we find quicksand works slowly, boxing rings are square, and a guinea pig is neither a pig or from Guinea. And why is it that writers write, but fingers don't think, grocers don't gross, and hammers don't ham? If the plural of tooth is teeth, why isn't the plural of booth beef? One goose, two geese, so one goose, two meese? Doesn't it seem crazy to you that you can make amends, but not one amend? If you have a bunch of odds and ends, and get rid of all of them but one, what do you call it? Sometimes I think all English speakers should be committed to an asylum for the verbally insane. In what language do you play at a recital and recite at a play, ship by truck and send cargo by ship, have noses and that run and feet that smell? How can a slim chance and a fat chance be the same, while the wise guy and the wise man are opposites? You have to marvel at the unique lunacy in which your house can burn up as it burns down. You fill in a form by filling it out, and an alarm goes off by going on. And where are those people who are spring chickens, and who would actually hurt a fly? English was invented by people, not computers, and it reflects the creativity of the human race, which of course is not a race at all. That is why, when the stars are out, they are visible, but when the lights are out, they are invisible. And why, when I wind up my watch, I start it, but when I wind up this monologue, I end it.
For you, so you're just going to have to bear with it a little bit. I know this will be new for you, but bear with me.
There's a famous seaside town called Blackpool that's noted for fresh air and fun. And Mr. and Mrs. Ramsbottom, when they were young Albert, their son. Their Albert was a grand little fella, all dressed in his best, quite swell. He had a stick with the horse's head handle, the finest that Allworth could sell. They didn't think much of the ocean, the waves, they were fiddling and small. There were no wrecks, nobody drowned, had nothing to laugh at all. To seek further amusement, they paid and went into the zoo, where they'd lions and tigers and camels, and good ale and sandwiches too. There was one big red lion called Wallace. His face was all covered with scars, and he lay in a somnolent posture, side of his face to the bars. Now Albert heard about lions, how they were ferocious and wild, and to see the lion so peaceful, well, it didn't seem right to the child. So straightway the brave little fellow, showing remorse and fear, took a stick with the horse's head handle and pushed it in Wallace's ear. You could tell that the lion didn't like it. They gave it a kind of a roll. He pulled out inside the cage with him and swallowed the little lad whole.
A word that all of you are very familiar with, homework. Adrian's going to tell you how homework changes over time.
Not long ago, the homework load did Helen a little harm. She headed to school with one notebook tucked in her little arm. Homework increased until the girl had no choice but to pack binders, texts, and notebooks in a section on her back. But then at Helen's shoulder slouched, her spine started to sag, so Helen took to pulling books in a wheeled luggage bag. As Helen grew, homework did too, and fourth grade marked the start of pushing homework to and fro in a large shopping cart. Soon tractors towed her homework load, till Helen found her luck. Miss Brooklyn's called her homework, and then a pickup truck. But still the workload grew and grew, and the truck bed overran. So sixth grade saw Helen driving home in a U-Haul moving van. Still, Helen had a problem. She was also quite stumped. Her homework quickly piled on, much like the city dump. Helen's homework load reached its height once school closed in the fall, where teachers assigned so much work, no kid could move at all.
Next, we have Sarah Sweet, if you're going to enjoy this.
To this day, kids are still being called names. The classics are, hey stupid, hey spaz. Seems like each school has an arsenal of names getting updated each year. And if a kid breaks in school and no one around chooses to hear, do they make a sound? Are they just the background noises of the soundtrack stuff on repeat when people say things like kids can be cruel? Every school was like a big top circus tent. And the pecking order went from acrobats to lion tamers, from clowns to carnies. All of these were miles ahead of who we were. We were freaks. Lobster claw boys and bearded ladies. Oddities, juggling depression and loneliness, playing solitaire spin the bottle, trying to kiss the wounded parts of ourselves and heal. But at night, while the others slept, we kept walking the tightrope. It was practice, and yes, some of us fell, but I want to tell them that all of this is just debris. Left over when we finally decide to smash all the things we thought we used to be. And if you can't see anything beautiful about yourself, get a better mirror. Look a little closer, stare a little longer, because there's something inside you that made you keep trying despite everyone who told you to quit. You built a cast around your broken heart and you signed it yourself. You signed it, they were wrong. Because maybe you didn't belong to a group or a clique. Maybe you used to get picked last for basketball or everything. Maybe you used to bring bruises and broken teeth to show and tell, but never told. Because how can you hold your ground when everyone around you wants to bury you beneath it? You have to believe they were wrong. They have to be wrong. Why else would we still be here? We grew up learning to cheer on the underdog because we saw ourselves in them. We stemmed from the root planted in the belief that we are not what we are called. We are not just abandoned cars stalled out on an empty highway, and if in some way we are, don't worry. We only got out to walk and get gas. We are graduating members of the class that we made it. Not just the faded echoes of voices crying out names you never heard me. Of course they did. But our lives will only ever continue to be a balancing act that has less to do with pain and more to do with beauty.
We're going to finish with Nicholas. Nicholas is going to do the classic comedian, the great Jerry Seinfeld.
I love to travel. I love it whether it's a car or whether it's a plane. I like to get out there. I like to keep it moving. I love airports. I feel safe at airports thanks to the high caliber individuals that we have working in X-ray security. How about this crack squad of 7 motivated personnel? See, The way you want to set up your airport security is you want the short, heavy-set woman at the front, skin-tight uniform. That's your first line of defense. You want those pants so tight that the flap in front of the zipper has pulled itself open. You can see the metal tangs hanging on for dear life. Then you put your bag on the conveyor belt and it goes through the little luggage car wash. Then you have the other team down at the end, looking at the little X-ray TV screen. This Einstein was chosen to stand in front of X-rays 14 hours a day. It's his profession, looking in that thing. I've looked at that TV screen. I cannot make out one object. He's standing there. What is that, a hairdryer with a scope on it? Yeah, that looks okay, keep it moving. Some sort of bowling ball candle? Yeah, I got no problem with that, just, we don't want to hold up the line. Then when you get on the plane, the pilot, of course, always has to come on the PA system. This guy's so excited about being a pilot that he can't even stand himself. Well, I'm going to take it up to about 20,000, then I'm going to make a left by Pittsburgh and a right by Chicago, then I'm going to bring it down to 15,000. He's giving his whole route, all his moves. We're in the back on, yeah, fine, just do whatever you got to do, I don't know. Just end up where it says on the ticket, really. Then the stewardesses have to come out. They have to do their little emergency equipment show. You know that thing they do, where one of them reads the other one acts it out. Hey, we have seatbelts and oxygen masks. Things for you to use. They show you how to use the seatbelt, just in case you haven't been in a car since 1965. Oh, you lift up on the buckle. Oh, I was trying to break the metal apart. That's how it worked. I was going to try to tear the fabric part of the belt. I thought if I could just get it started. Then they're always pointing out those emergency exits. Always with that very vague point, though, isn't it? Where would these places be, would you say? The plane's at a 90-degree angle, your hair is on fire, and you're looking for this? How do you think you're going to do there? She's thinking, I'm getting out before you're getting out. You're dead, I'm gone.
I hope you all enjoyed yourself this afternoon. I want to thank you very much for being a great audience. Can you put your hands together once more and really thank you?
Thank you very much, Mr. Higgity. Tremendous job by all the students. That takes a lot of courage to do that in front of your peers. But none of this would have happened without all the comm skills teachers, and in particular Mr. Higgity, who's put this together for years. So let's show our appreciation.